Hello and welcome. So it's that time of year again, isn't it? That whole stretch from Halloween all the way to New Year's. It's supposed to be about twinkling lights and traditions, but let's be real. It's also packed with a ton of really complicated feelings. It's this weird mix of magical and, well, super stressful. Today, we're going to unpack the psychology behind all of that. Okay, let's just dive right in. You hear this all the time, right? That the holidays are just this massive mental health crisis waiting to happen. With all the stories about overwhelming stress and family drama, it's pretty easy to assume that this time of year must send mental health emergencies through the roof. But is that what the research actually says? And here's where things get really interesting. It turns out the exact opposite is true. A huge systematic review, looking at 25 different studies, found that psychiatric hospitalizations consistently go down around major holidays like Christmas. So, if it's not a full-blown crisis, what is actually going on with our brains during this season? So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to keep busting that big holiday myth. Then we'll get into the real reason the season feels so intense, what we're calling the season of paradox. We are absolutely going to tackle the infamous family pressure cooker. And most importantly, we're going to arm you with a practical, evidence-based toolkit to navigate it all. And finally, we'll talk about when and how to get a little more support if you need it. All right, so let's start by unpacking that central paradox. Just because hospitalizations go down, that definitely doesn't mean the season is a walk in the park. The research confirms what we all kind of feel in our gut. The holidays are this really powerful and pretty unique mix of emotional highs and lows. On one hand, you've got this perfect storm of pressure. The shopping, the cooking, the travel, the packed social calendar. It can all just feel relentless. But then, on the other hand, it's this incredible opportunity for real positive connection, for strengthening the bonds that matter most to us through traditions and just spending quality time together. So what's really causing all that stress? Well, let's break down the numbers. The biggest piece of the pie here, and it's a huge one, is financial strain. A staggering 58% of people feel that. But look how close behind that you have the deep emotional weight of grieving a loss, then challenging family dynamics and loneliness. It's this really complex mix of practical money worries and deep emotional pressures. In this chart right here, this is the holiday paradox in a nutshell. I mean, look at these two bars. They are almost the exact same height. 41% of us really look forward to seeing family and friends, while at the very same time, 40% of us feel increased stress. We crave the connection, even as we're bracing for the pressure. So if you feel both joy and dread, you're not alone. That's actually the norm. All right, now let's talk about where that stress often gets concentrated. For many of us, it's what you could call the family pressure cooker. This is where that holiday paradox can feel the most intense, trying to navigate all those complicated family dynamics. And it's so common. A full 35% of us, that's more than 1 in every 3 people, point directly to challenging family dynamics as a major source of holiday stress. So yeah, if you've ever felt a little anxious before a family get-together, you are in very, very good company. And what are we all arguing about? Well, the research shows the triggers are pretty universal. You've got the big ones, right? Money, politics, religion. But then there are those unspoken tensions, like whose family to visit this year, which traditions are the right ones, or those old arguments that just seem to pop back up the second everyone's in the same room. Do any of these sound familiar? This leads to a piece of advice from research psychologists that is just so important. The point of a holiday gathering isn't to finally win that old argument or solve a decade-long family drama. The real goal, the real win, is to just keep the peace and focus on connecting, even if that means you have to let some things go for the day. Okay, we've talked a lot about the problem. Now for the really important part. What can we actually do about it? Let's get into your evidence-based toolkit. These are practical, research-backed strategies that can help make the season more manageable and maybe even a little more joyful. A really powerful framework for all of this is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's one of the most well-researched psychological tools out there. The basic idea is actually pretty simple, but it can be life-changing. Our thoughts create our feelings. So if we can learn to change the thoughts that are stressing us out, we can change how we feel and how we act. So let's make this super practical. Here's a classic CBT exercise you can use right away. Step 1, identify that stressful thought. You know, that little voice saying, I have to host a flawless dinner. Step 2, challenge it. Is that really realistic?
What's the actual goal here? And step 3, replace it with something more balanced, like, my real goal is just to enjoy our time together. It doesn't have to be perfect. See? That simple reframe can lower your anxiety in a huge way.
And the great news is that effective strategies don't have to take up a ton of time. Researchers are looking into what they call micro-interventions. These are basically brief, super targeted techniques that can de-escalate stress in less than 15 minutes. Think of them like quick, powerful tools for getting some relief right in the moment. Okay, here are a few more proven tools for your kit. Setting boundaries before you even show up is huge. Like agreeing with family, hey, let's keep politics off the dinner table this year. Mindfulness, even just 2 minutes of deep breathing, can calm your whole nervous system. Oh, and don't forget the power of gratitude. Research actually shows it helps 84% of people reduce holiday stress. And remember, it is absolutely okay to just say no to things. Now, this toolkit is incredibly powerful for handling things in the moment, but sometimes to make really lasting change, we need a little more guidance, and that is perfectly okay. So let's talk about what that next level of support can look like. I think the most important takeaway here is this. Managing these complex emotions and relationships is a skill you can learn. It's not some talent you're just born with. So if you feel stuck or you just want some expert guidance to help you build those skills, working with a professional can make all the difference in the world. One really effective, science-backed way to do this is an approach called collaborative assessment. Basically, it combines therapy with some specific psychological assessments. This helps you and a therapist work together to get to the root of behavioral patterns or relationship challenges way faster, giving you really clear insights to work with.
For anyone who thinks that approach sounds like what they might need, the team at Edward Jenny and Associates specializes in using collaborative assessment. They help people build these skills, not just for a better holiday season, but for a better life. If you'd like to learn more, you can always reach out for a free consultation. Thanks so much for tuning in.